The miniature of the second coming scene on Mount Tabor. As Jesus was traveling with his disciples near Caesarea Philippi, he told them,
"Truly I say to you, some of those standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom."
This meant that some disciples would witness a glimpse of Jesus' return in his glory before their deaths.
Does this mean there's a disciple still alive today, waiting to see Jesus return?
Curious, aren't you?
Yes.
6 days after Jesus spoke these words, near Cana and the city of Nain, he and his disciples arrived at the base of Mount Tabor. Jesus allowed most of the disciples to rest at the foot of the mountain, taking only Peter, James, and John up with him. As they climbed, evening approached, and they grew weary from a long day of following Jesus. Jesus often climbed mountains at night to pray, and this time, he wanted to pray earnestly with his disciples. But as they prayed, the disciples struggled with drowsiness and soon fell asleep. Jesus prayed fervently, asking for the strength to endure the trials that would soon come upon him for humanity's sake. He also prayed for his disciples, that their faith might not waver in the times ahead. As night deepened, dew fell heavily on Jesus' body, but he continued to pray. Suddenly, the heavens opened, and a holy light shone upon the mountain, surrounding Jesus. His appearance changed, and he rose in the glory of God. The disciples awoke, startled by the radiant light, and looked upon Jesus in awe. They saw Moses and Elijah with him, conversing with him. Peter, overwhelmed, said,
"Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 shelters. One for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah."
At that moment, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from within the cloud said,
"This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him."
Hearing this, the disciples fell to the ground, overcome with fear. Jesus touched them and said,
"Arise, and do not be afraid."
When they lifted their heads, Moses and Elijah were gone, and Jesus had returned to his usual appearance. As morning dawned, everything looked as it did before. On their way down the mountain, Jesus told them,
"Tell no one what you have seen, until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead."
Children, today's story is about how Jesus briefly showed Peter, James, and John a glimpse of his return. When Jesus comes again, those who have died in the Lord, like Moses who died and was taken to heaven, will rise to meet him. Those still alive will be taken up, like Elijah, without tasting death, to meet the Lord in the sky. Therefore, let's always listen to Jesus' words. Repeat after the word.
"This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him."
Matthew chapter 17 verse 5. Great job! See you next week. Goodbye.